Helldivers 2 is a game that needs no introduction. Released in February 8th, 2024, the game was an instant hit, having a record high player count of 450,000 players just 13 days after its release. The game was received very well off the gate, and people loved this game. And Helldivers 2 has been one of my favorite games of all time, and today I want to talk about it. So let's start with the setting of the game, because I was kind of worried about going into a space shooter after spending way too much of my life in Destiny 2. But the space world that's created for this game is so immersive and intriguing, it absolutely blew me away. The players of the game play as Helldivers, the space military for Super Earth, a planet whose sole goal is spreading their way of life across the galaxy through managed military force. The enemies we get to fight are alien bugs known as the Terminids, the space squids known as the Illuminate, and robots called the Automatons. Each faction has solidified itself within one corner of the galaxy, the robots up left, bugs up right, and squids below. So the gameplay of Helldivers is basically a war between democracy and fascism, in which one planetary superpower is fighting three different alien races all at once. Not only is this an unbelievably cool setting with some really cool and unique enemies, but it also has an unbelievable sense of scale. Just looking at the map gives you an idea of how large of an impact this galactic war is really having. There are so many different planets in this game that you are tasked with protecting. There are jungle planets, there are desert planets with freaking fire tornadoes, there are ice planets with massive frozen lakes and blizzards, there are moon-like planets. Basically, there's so much diversity in these locations, it makes traveling around a fun little adventure every time. It really impresses me how many planets and unique areas on each planet there are. The sheer number of locations really sell this game as a war that you and your squad need to participate in to save the galaxy. Many games have high stakes, but Helldivers stakes are like, if you don't save the planet from these hellborn bug creatures, you and everyone you know will be slaughtered at the hands of them. So that's fun. And I can't really talk about the setting of Helldivers without mentioning the insane nature of Super Earth itself and their mission. So like I said, they want to spread their way of life across the galaxy, and what that means is basically democracy and capitalism, with an emphasis on democracy. For democracy! From killing hundreds of trillions of enemies to sacrificing billions of their own people, they are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve this mission. And the way the game overemphasizes this fact brings so much depth and life to the setting. Your character will sometimes scream lines linking freedom to this fighting, like, "Sweet liberty, my arms! Say hello to the Helldivers." The commander, or whoever this guy is, constantly hypes up the Helldivers with words about how great democracy is.
Every day is a good day to die for democracy.
Weapons are named patriotic things like the Constitution and the Liberator. So time and time again, you are bombarded by democracy and patriotism like you've never seen before. And this has sort of become a joke in the community, but for the purposes of this video, I do think it's so over the top to the point where it becomes an integral part of the world building. Democracy and liberty have become a religion to Super Earth, and they will die for its cause, and thus the Helldivers are born. I'm sure to a lot of people, the over-the-top nature of Super Earth and their democratic pursuits can come off as annoying, but to me, I find it a fascinating part of the setting. Earth becoming one nation and following one political system to the point of galactic war is such an interesting concept that Helldivers executed perfectly. Add on the perfectly created, stellar musical scores, you get a game with an unbelievable feel and setting to it. Whether it be the dun 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 whenever you launch a hellpod or complete a mission, or the quieter ambient music of each planet. The music really brings a sense of atmosphere to the game. I love listening to the triumphant horns when I launch into a mission. It just gets me so hyped and really puts me into the shoes of a soldier ready to die for democracy. You probably can't hear any of the music because copyright is terrifying, but just trust me when I say that the music for this game is absolutely amazing, and the setting is one of my favorites in gaming history. Now, the setting for this game is absolutely amazing, and I love it, but my favorite part of Helldivers is, actually, it's not that much of a shock, but the gameplay for Helldivers is so inventive and fun, it's unlike any shooter I've played. The weaponry at your disposal in this game revolves around a few categories. The basic ones being your primary weapons. Think rifles, shotguns, laser beams of destruction vaporizing everything in its path, stuff like that. You also have your secondary weapon like pistols, revolvers, a mini nuclear warhead launcher capable of wiping out a medium-sized home, basic stuff like that. And these are so fun. I love the diversity of the weapon types that really allow any player to have their own unique playstyle. Do you like to play at range? Maybe run a marksman rifle. Do you want to incinerate everything in your path? Maybe run a flamethrower. I just love the wide range of weaponry you have at your disposal. Every weapon feels unique and enjoyable in so many different ways that you could really run anything and still have fun with whatever mission you're going into. But I can't talk about but I can't talk about the weaponry without talking about the most fun part of this game, the stratagems. Every mission you go on, you can choose between 4 stratagems to bring along with your mission. Now, what are stratagems, I don't hear you asking? Well, basically they're supplies, tools, or weapons of mass destruction ready to be called on at any moment. You call these down by typing specific arrow keys in specific orientations for specific actions. And once you call one down, just sit back and watch the fireworks, baby. Stratagems are one of the coolest things ever created in video gaming. They make the player feel so powerful, as with every press of a few buttons, they can call down a laser that kills everything it sees. And these stratagems, just like the weapons, are so unique and varied in what they can do. The first category of stratagems is the orbital and eagle weaponry. Orbitals are things like barrages, missile strikes, lasers, and other space sent destruction. And I love these so much. It's so fun to throw a stratagem vaguely in the direction of enemies and then see a massive array of artillery just eviscerate them. Eagles are slightly different from orbitals in that instead of coming from space, they come from a plane. So they tend to drop things like airstrikes, smaller explosives, and a 500-kilogram bomb capable of wiping out a large neighborhood. There are slight differences between the eagle and the orbital, like the orbitals tend to take a little bit more time to land while eagles are a little bit quicker, but orbitals tend to do more damage or hit a wider range of area, but eagles are more compact. Both are useful for different things and both are so fun. The feeling of calling down a destructive stratagem on enemies and just watching the kill marker go up is one of the most satisfying things ever. But moving on, the next group of stratagems are the support weapons and backpacks. The support weapons are so fun. Every support weapon allows you to have more power that your primary weapons didn't give you the ability to do. Sure, your shotgun is cute, but can it do this? I didn't think so. These support weapons also give you the ability to deal with bigger and stronger enemies that other weapons just aren't capable of. So support weapons not only bring a lot of fun to the game, but they also bring a lot more utility. They really bring the gameplay up a notch from other shooters. Sure, support weapons similar to these have been done in other shooters, but genuinely, Helldivers support weapons feel so much more powerful and enriching than other games'.
I'll be honest though, I like
The other part of this category is the backpacks, and these are pretty basic stuff like a jetpack, a supply container, a backpack with a nuke inside of it with the power of leveling a small town. It's just regular stuff like that. These range from pretty useful to unbelievably helpful on the battlefield. Things like the portable hell bomb are able to take out enemy weaponry, mission required areas, and just regular enemies that are pestering you. But other backpacks like the shield generator allow you to have extra amount of protection when being shot at. So they really aid you on the battlefield in ways other stratagems like orbitals or eagles might not be able to. Some support weapons also come with backpacks that allow you to reload the weapon with more ammo to shoot more guys. The support weapon and backpack part of the stratagem list is just so enjoyable to mess around with. Not every weapon is useful for the same thing, and every weapon is still unbelievably fun to play with. And not only are the guns enjoyable to play with, but the armor is also amazing and unique. As you play the game, you can unlock different armor through war bonds and super credit store, and sometimes the game just gives it to you. But regardless of how you acquire it, the armor will have something called an armor passive, which is basically just a special perk that you get by just wearing the armor. These can be decently helpful, like the engineer or scout perks. The engineer giving you further recoil reduction and increasing the amount of grenades you can hold, which is nice but not the most useful thing in the world, and the scout allowing you to be more sneaky and less detectable while also doing something with the map that I don't really care. But they can get unbelievably helpful, one of which being so fun and funny at the same time is Democracy Protects. What this armor passive does is make it so you have a 50% chance to survive from lethal damage, aka anytime you will die, you have a chance to just not. And that goes for any damage. I probably don't have a clip for this, but I once strapped on a hell bomb, sat on top of it, and then survived the explosion. Wearing this armor set is not the most noticeable thing in the world all of the time, but it leads to some incredibly fun and noticeable moments. Another passive that I absolutely adore is the medic perk, which is probably my favorite passive in the entire game. This one is way more noticeable, with it buffing the amount of time your stims heal you and increasing the amount of stims you have by 2. That might not sound like a big change, but it is so helpful because you are stimming constantly when you're being shot or stabbed at. And just in case, stims are little shots of medicine that heal you in this game. So being able to not only stim more frequently without needing a resupply, but also being benefited more by them is not only helpful, but legitimately life-saving. I absolutely adore this perk, and it pairs really well with the experimental infusion boost. Oh my gosh, I haven't talked about the boosters yet. Another tool you as a Helldiver have at your disposal are the boosters that each player can activate at any mission. Think of them as power-ups that everyone gets during a mission. These are a really good addition to the game as they allow for some incredibly helpful additions to the gameplay. These range from basic things like giving you more supplies when you respawn or increasing the damage you can take before you die, to absolutely absurd things like the experimental infusion, which gives you an insane boost in speed when using a stim. These boosters can have a massive effect on the gameplay as a whole, as they allow for a whole new level of gameplay. The Vitality Enhancement booster is a particularly fun one because it allows you to have more health on the battlefield. So this booster directly keeps you alive for longer, allowing for more engaging and fun gameplay. The increased reinforcement booster also allows you and your team to have an increased number of reinforcements, allowing you to complete the mission in a, hopefully, more efficient way. So the boosters are a genius way to benefit the player in a balanced way to make the game more fun. But the game also sports a fair share of straight up silly stratagems. The first being that of the firebomb hell pods, which makes any hell pod, whether it be a resupply, a support stratagem, or yourself, a literal firebomb that will explode and burn on impact. Is it that useful? No, not really, but it's so fun to mess around with, especially on quicker mission like Eradicates, where there's a lot of enemies just hogging one small space, so when you land on them, you explode and kill more guys. It's so fun. Another goofy one is the armed resupply booster, which gives all resupply stratagems a freaking gun on top of it that shoots the enemies around it. Once again, helpful, no. Fun? Yes! I just love the booster system so much because on one hand, you can have something that saves your life or makes the game easier, and on the other hand, you can have something that accidentally shoots you. Another part of the game I think elevates it above other shooters is the major and minor order mechanic. A minor order is just a task you need to do yourself or with a team that are basically mini missions you can complete at any time during that day. It's usually very simple with things like kill X enemies or kill X enemies with this specific weapon. It can also be extract successfully from X faction or with X amount of samples or whatever. And completing said mission will give you 15 medals that can be spent on war bonds, which I'll get to in a second. It gives you incentive to diversify your loadout, whether it be your weapons or stratagems, and try out the loads of fun guns you may have avoided until then. It also encourages you to be good at the game, as sometimes you just have to extract to get the order done. It's really fun opening up Helldivers and seeing what new task you have to do today, but I love the major order aspect even more. Instead of being a personal order that only you have to do, a major order can be done by everyone in the game. These are typically more grand accomplishments like defending a certain number of planets that are being attacked or killing trillions of a specific faction. What the major order excels at though is bringing a sense of community many games lack. You really feel like your mission and kills make an impact on the overall war because you're contributing to a major overarching order that everyone is also doing their best to complete. I especially like the orders that are just defend this planet because then everyone is on that planet trying to hold back against enemy forces. So you get thousands of players all working together on the same planet to complete the same goal. It's such a small detail in this game that brings such a sense of life to the game. If you win, everybody wins and the story progresses in that direction, and if you lose, everybody loses and the story progresses in a different area. I love getting on with some buddies and diving into a planet with everyone else, trying to push back enemy advances or trying to kill a bunch of enemies. It's just such a fun gameplay idea that brings so much communal value to the game. I think you've probably noticed, but many times throughout this video, I've said that this game has stuff about it that just really sets it apart from other games I've played. Why I say that is because this game has so many inventive and unique gameplay decisions that make this game feel really special to me. I'll start by pointing out the war bonds, aka this game's battle pass. And at first, I know you're probably like, oh, a battle pass, ew. But honestly, there's something about Helldivers war bonds that are just different from the other battle passes. It feels less like a money grab to me. That could be just a bias thing because I've played this game so much, but I genuinely don't see a connection between the Warbond model and the, say, Fortnite Battle Pass model. Every Warbond has its own specific theme, whether it be electricity or gas or fire, or maybe it's, do you want to bomb everything? Like, it's just random things like that that are just a fun little theme that if you buy that Warbond, you get some really fun items. Some Warbonds are better than others, I'll be honest. Some aren't particularly that good, but some are really, really fun, especially like the Servants of Freedom Warband, where you get the portable hell bomb and the ultimatum, which are both big explosive weapons, but you also get a weapon called the sickle, which is this fun high risk, high reward weapon in which it burns you but does a lot of damage to enemies. Weaponry like that is really inventive and different from the rest of the pack really set this game apart and set the Warband model apart from the Battle Pass model. Is it a money grab? Maybe, but it's really the only Battle Pass I would say felt worth it for me to buy. The game even has a free starter Warband that has some of the best weapons in the game. I love this Warband. Sure, some of the other premium Warbands that came after it feel a little bit better in terms of the weapons and the variety of weapons, but I do think that the fact that they have a Warband that's so much bigger than the rest be the starter Warband that's free kind of shows that it doesn't feel like this is about money. Sure, you have to give them money to get it, but you can also earn it through the game through just ordering super credits. So to me, especially, it feels more like something that the creators are giving to us rather than something we have to pay them to like get, you know? But let's stop talking about the Warbands and talk a little bit more about those stratagems. I really love the fact that every time you have to call in a stratagem, you have to type in a Dance Dance Revolution sequence of arrows. I love how said stratagems are distinct and have different uses on different planets, enemies, and playstyles. And the most unique thing this game has is the reload. Reloading in video games has been kind of goofy since the dawn of shooters. You have a number, and even if you throw an entire magazine on the ground, you still have the same amount. But Helldivers does something I've never seen in a game before. If you reload, you discard an entire magazine. What do you mean, so what? This is a big deal. As a gamer who's enjoyed shooters his whole life, I can't tell you how optimistic I was when I first saw this reload change. It adds a whole level of complexity to the shooter format that's been largely ignored up until now. You have to keep track of your ammo so carefully, and if you reload carelessly, you're gonna run out fast. I absolutely love that. It's such a basic change, but it adds so much to not only the gameplay, but also the realism. I was kind of joking about saying this is the most unique thing Helldivers has. I do probably think the stratagem idea and concept of stratagems is a little bit more unique, but I'm being so serious when I talk about my intrigue and love for this change. It's simple, and I'm shocked I haven't seen it done before because it adds so much to the game. It's such a fun, small change. And as I've played Helldivers more and more, I find that this game is genuinely the perfect mix of realism and unrealism. Because on the surface, Helldivers is such an unrealistic concept. Humans traveling light years away to distant planets just to spread democracy and liberty is a pretty crazy premise. But the more I play Helldivers, the more I realize how grounded it really is as a game. Sure, the premise is out there, but is it really? If humans one day discover faster than light travel, what's to stop them from traveling to nearby stars to spread democracy? And the game has so many tiny details or gameplay mechanics that ground this crazy concept to a more realistic light. I've mentioned the reloading change, and I think that's a perfect example of grounding this game. Sure, the world around you is insane and over the top, but having to focus on your ammo count really puts you in the mind of a soldier and thus grounds you to this reality. The boosters you're given all have names that explain what they do and why, in the context of the world, they're able to do what they do. Like the booster that gives you extra revives in the game is just an extra amount of budget for more soldiers in the world. Or the increased ammo and throwables out of respawn being explained as space optimization. Little things like this bring the game with a semi-unbelievable concept into a more understandable one. All this to say, Helldivers is a game that's so out there in terms of concept and scale, but is still somehow a game that's comprehensible enough and still unbelievably fun. The over-the-top nature of the game is not too over-the-top to where it's confusing or annoying, but just enough so to allow for a fun and unique gaming experience. The game is crazy, but still so good. Now, I will say, even though I just took a lot of time to explain why I think this game is a masterpiece, I did think I should chime in to what I think the game should do better. If I love a game so much, I should want to see it improve, right? So let's rattle some complaints off real quick, okay? For one, the appearance options. The choices for clothing are pretty limited. There's no option to change the appearance of individual armor sets, like changing the colors, for example. And I think if more options to edit and tweak appearances were added, I would enjoy the customization options a bit more. Another light complaint I have with the customization is that it's kind of difficult to see what an armor would look like in your current set. In most games, if you're viewing something in the shop or some other area in which you're about to purchase that item, you would see that item in the context of your current character. Like if you're trying to buy a helmet, it would keep your current gear but just replace the helmet. So if you think, hey, I think this armor would look good with this set I have, you can check it because you have that set in the context of the new helmet you're buying. playing. But Helldivers doesn't do this for some reason. It just replaces your avatar with the default skin, so it makes it kind of an unnecessary pain when buying armor when you have no clue if it'll look good on your current gear. It's not a huge problem. You can just use your brain to think about if it would look good or not, but I prefer to just be able to see it. Another complaint is that the game has quite a number of bugs. Once again, not a problem that really brings down the experience as a whole, but some of the bugs are really damaging. Multiple times I've done through a whole mission, a whole playlist, just for the final terminal to bug out and not work, or the thing to be underground. Why bugs in this game don't annoy me that much though is because even though I might not be able to complete a mission and get the medals, it was still fun. And that's why even though I have some problems with this game, it doesn't register while I'm playing it, because I have so much fun with the gameplay and environments that I can't really notice them. The game is so well crafted in so many areas, the vast majority of areas, and it's so enjoyable in so many of those areas that such problems really just don't compare. The game is so good that minor bugs or minor problems really don't affect the overall gameplay. And that's why Helldivers 2 is a masterpiece. It's so well created, it's so well fine-tuned in most areas, and it's so inventive and different that it just makes the experience so enjoyable. Do I get stuck on a Bile Titan every time I land on it with my Hellpod? Yeah, but the act of flying down in a Hellpod is so inventive and it's so fun that I don't even care, because that experience was amazing. And that's just kind of this game. There's bugs, sure, because this was a small team that had to change their engine while making the game. So of course there's going to be bugs in the game because there's a lot of challenges that occurred during it. But those bugs aren't a problem for me because the game is still so good. From the captivating setting to the unique gameplay, the game is something truly special. So many parts of Helldivers are so well created that it makes this game a joy to play through. And if you watched through this whole video and haven't played this game, please do. It's really so much better than I can ever explain. This was just a quick video for me to get my thoughts on how good Helldivers really is. So please play it and experience it yourself. I hope you all enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. God bless all of you. Have a good day, friends.